How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel Make Money Trucking. And I wanted to go over some of the things that you might want to be looking at and be prepared for if you're like me and typically you buy trucks around that 400 to 500,000 mile range. So basically, I'm going over parts that typically fail around 500,000 miles or shortly there before, or before 500,000. And this is a topic that I kind of been reminded about. When I buy a truck with about 400,000 miles, that's what I shoot for. Sometimes there are maintenance items that are going to be coming up shortly. Like the truck I'm in now, my 2011 Coronado, has about 510,000 miles on it, and I got it with about 430,000 or 440, somewhere around there. And so a lot of times coming up on that 400,000 mile mark, you're going to be looking at basically doing the alternator and starters. Alternators and starters are notorious, in my experience, at least on the Freightliners that I buy, of going out before 500,000 miles or shortly thereafter. And then also, if you buy a truck that's got 400,000 or 500,000 miles, usually brakes are something that have come up, if not before that 500,000 mile mark. If they've made it that far, you're going to be looking at doing brakes. And shocks are another thing. I usually think about shocks lasting, 200,000 miles, depending on your application. Like we do a lot of off-road driving, not a lot of highway, so a lot of stopping and going. The shocks are constantly being compressed more than they would be just going on the highway at 75 all the time, or 65, depending on what side of the country you're on. But yeah, so something I wanted to kind of put out there for some of you guys to be looking at if you are buying trucks that got around 400,000 or 500,000 miles, is just potential maintenance items that typically fail, or at least in my experience they have. Also, I've done an air compressor on this truck that went out about 6 months or 3 or 4 months ago. And starters, alternators, air compressors, and a lot of the air compressor, the air dryer is probably going to need to be replaced, or at least I always do it. And if you have a shop or a mechanic do anything for you, they're probably going to do about the same thing, or advise you to do that. So along with brakes and shocks, those are some things. If you're buying a truck that's got 500,000 miles, around 500,000 miles, those are things that, if they haven't already been done, need to be done. And the next tier will be about 750,000 miles, is kind of when other things start to go on trucks. And maybe I'll make another video about that. But so just to give some of you guys a little bit of insight on what to look for, typical things on trucks that start to fail at about 500,000 miles. Sometimes the blower motors typically fail around this point in time as well. Everything else I've done, hasn't really been up until about 750,000 miles. But I think that's about all. I'm also going to have a video coming up on the cost of this truck for the first couple of years, and what's the cost of all those things combined. Some of them I had the dealership do some of these repairs, and then some of them I did myself, like the alternator, the starter, I did myself. Those are a few $100 a piece, and my own time. Alternators are very easy. Starters are easy ish, with quotations, depending on where they're located in the truck. This truck, it looks easy, but then it's right, in between the frame rail, right where you can't get to it, so it makes it hard to reach it. And then the air compressor on this truck is on the back side of the motor by the firewall, instead of being up by the fan clutch and whatnot. Oh, that's another thing, fan clutches as well. And this truck is going to have a fan clutch replaced here soon, because as far as I can tell, my fan's not shutting off. So I have a video about that, and I have videos about all these things as well, that I've replaced on this truck, the air compressor, starter, alternator, and then I have a fan clutch repair replacement video on a 2008 Century that I used to own, that I did that job on. All right, guys, hopefully this helps. Just give you a little bit of insight on things to look forward to. That's why, I tell guys, you want at least 20 grand in the bank, 10 to 20 grand. Just set aside that's not part of your down payment to deal with breakdowns, slow work months, tires, tire repairs or tire replacements. But yeah, that's all I can think about on top of my head. And all these things are pretty simple, and they're not as expensive in the general scheme of things. Your bigger items like transmissions, injectors, let's see, rear ends, maybe more serious motor components will start to, at 750 is about when I've seen a lot of those things start to have problems or go. But hopefully this helps. Let me know if you guys have any ideas of videos you want to see in the future, just regarding these type of topics, trucking, repair videos or whatnot. And I'll look through the comments. I usually try to look through the comments pretty regularly, and keep up to date with those. And let me know, and I'll see if I can arrange to make some videos. Trying to make more videos here coming up soon. All right, well, I will see you in the next one. Have a good one. All right, another thing I forgot to mention is clutches for manual transmissions. Clutches usually, depending on the drivers you have or the driver that you are, and if you use a clutch a lot in city applications, they can go out a lot sooner than 500,000 miles, but definitely that is something that if your truck has 400 or 500,000 miles, clutch is definitely going to be on the list. All right, that's all I have for you.